Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Flex and Reflect Sunday Sit Down. It is Easter Sunday, so happy Easter everyone. Now I'm going to get out of the way the Easter questions first up, and that is most of my clients this week have asked me, hey, will you have some Easter eggs? Will you eat chocolate and so forth? No, I'm just not a big chocolate lover. The closest I will get is to having a chocolate mango smoothie in about an hour and a half's time. That is about the closest that I will get to eating chocolate. The hot cross buns, I am partial to a hot cross bun. I do not have any in the house. My daughter is staying with her mum and spending time with her boyfriend and her family today, and so I gave all the hot cross buns to her. And so yeah, just normal sort of day for me, taking some time out for myself to think about my daughter that's no longer here. I'm going to do something special for her a little bit later. Otherwise, it's just a normal day for me. But I wish all of you, whatever it is that you're doing, a happy Easter and a healthy one. All right, so first question. How do you tailor fitness programs to accommodate individual differences such as metabolism, lifestyle, and fitness level while ensuring they're engaging and effective? So I'm going to give you some homework here. Go and have a listen to last week's episode. I think that was the first question that I answered last week. So go and have a listen to that one, just so I don't recap week after week. Can you discuss the psychological factors that influence our eating habits and how understanding them can lead to healthy food choices? So I've touched on this one before too, but it's probably something that's worthy of recapping, because the psychology of building habits is really important. And whether it's food, whether it's exercise, whether it's all those empowering things. I think I did a podcast over the last week on the Mental Toughness and Body Show about a couple of things. 70% of people are negative, and also the psychology of habit formation. And it takes a long time, longer than you think, to form these empowering habits. I believe it takes like 3 days to form those disempowering habits. It takes over 90 days to form those empowering habits. If you look at the Navy SEALs, for instance, like their BUDS training or whatever, it lasts for 182 days, I think it is. 182 days, right? Think about that. That's half the year. 6 months of day after day after day after day of relentless training. And I've heard a Navy SEAL say that what is the first to give up is people's headspace. It's like they're talking themselves out of how much can they tolerate the pain that's coming, as opposed to just focusing on the moment perhaps and saying, okay, well, I'll get through this day. I'll focus on tomorrow when it comes, kind of thing. It's like, well, it's so cold, I'm in so much pain, whatever, I'm so tired. How can I keep going to that next level? And so when it comes to like your eating habits, I think what you need to do is focus on what's that bigger picture for you? Like, why do you want to achieve a change for yourself? And I've spoken about this in the last few weeks about coming up with that definition of health for you. What does health mean for you? And for me, it's, well, there's the aesthetics part, but there's also the medical part of like doing any medical tests and you're healthy. But there's also that energy part of it, like getting more energy in your life, and with that more focus as well, and you can accomplish more of everything and anything that you want to. So if you've never experienced that before, it's really hard to relate to. But if you trust me in knowing that if you improve your lifestyle and become healthier, things like pain disappear, you'll sleep better, you'll start to have more energy, you'll start to have a bit more, less brain fog and more focus. And then you start to make better decisions, and one thing leads to the next, to the next, to the next, which ultimately leads to you making progress, right? And then if you can then understand that eating healthier, making those healthier choices will lead you to make more consistent, healthy choices. And then one habit leads to the next, to the next, to the next. So like I've done a big strength workout this morning, I would challenge anyone to do a really intense strength workout and then go and eat fast food. Because like your stomach, your brain is like, well, that just doesn't make sense, right? And so that healthy habit helps support the next one. And so after I do this, I'm going to go for a walk and get up some steps and so forth, which again is supporting my overall health and wellness, helping walk out some of the soreness in my legs and stuff. And so one thing leads to the next, the next, the next. Now, the reverse is also true. You have a disempowering habit, and then that starts to lead to the next thing, and the next disempowering habit, and the next disempowering habit. You do less exercise, you become less energized, you become less focused, you start wanting to eat poorer food choices, you're starting to have more brain fog, you're starting to think, what's the purpose in doing all of this stuff? So you've got to break the ice, if you like, break that cycle, and just start to build some momentum in one. Just focus on one healthy habit, and then that will help you lead to that next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. But you've got to come up with a definition of to why that is that you want it. I don't know, I think we're built very powerfully, like our brains, we're given this clean disk space, if you like, this clean hard drive. But what is easy to do is the disempowering habits, the poorer habits, eat more poorly, to do less exercise. That's the easy part. Doing what's hard is the hard part. You know, doing the healthy things is what's hard. So you've got to just make a start, but practice that one healthy habit, and then you'll find that one leads to the next, to the next, to the next. How should one adjust their fitness routine with the changing seasons to maintain motivation and effectiveness, especially in extreme weather conditions? Yeah, so a good question. I mean, where I live, we don't get those extreme weathers. We get a lot of different fluctuations in our weather, but not that extreme. Like, it doesn't snow here. It doesn't get to, sometimes you can get to the, you know, like the high 40s, but only for like a few weeks of the year. And they're normally not a few weeks together. So that can be a real challenge. But I think if you focus your, almost like cycling your training, like for whatever reason, when it comes to summer here, I'm not as focused, like my training is not as solid. I don't know what it is. It's just, it's always been that way. And I just try and understand, you know, what's going on for me. So I use that as time to, maybe that's time for me to take a little bit of a rest, work out what's, you know, where am I heading, reset my goals and so forth, and have a look at what do I need to do to refresh my training and you know, my food and all that kind of stuff. And I find by winter, which seems ironic, but by winter I am like so focused. It's the best time of the year for me to be training. I don't know why, whether it's because, you know, you also, you don't overheat and that kind of stuff. And I'm just really focused at that time of the year. So again, it comes back to you know, focusing on what it is that's really important for you, why you want to achieve the things that you want to achieve. And then I would just say, maybe you need to cycle your training. Like all my high performance athletes, for instance, I work on 12-week training blocks. So effectively about 3 training blocks back to back together for a year. And then, you know, there's an off season and, you know, different type of training for that other period of time. And that's probably the best way to do it. I mean, our seasons come in 3 months, depending on where it is that you live. It might be a case of, let's say that you've got those extreme snowy type conditions, then that might be a season where you've got to say, okay, well, I need to program that part of the year. All my training is going to be inside. Maybe that's the case. If it's super hot, same thing. And then maybe if you really enjoy that outdoor type of training and, you know, the cardio, whatever, then maybe you do that on other parts of the year, and you just need to mix it up a little bit. So I think you've just got to be aware of where you're going, where you live, and I think if you can get that extra bit of focus in cycling your training around the seasons, if you are dealing with these extremes. Let's just say you live on the mountains near here, so about an hour and a half from here there's snow. so if I use this as an example, if you really like the outdoors, like this time of the year, great time to be up there doing mountain biking. Can you do that when it's snowing? No, but you could do skiing or you could do something else. So you would obviously need to, shift what it is that you do in terms of your training. Okay, beyond traditional rest, what innovative recovery techniques or practices have you found beneficial for enhancing muscle recuperation and overall well-being? Well, in terms of when you say traditional, I think you just cannot beat the things that are free and easy, and that is walking to get the blood circulating to the muscles. You see, say the high performance teams and everything, after they've had a big game, you'll see them, say, walking up and down like swimming pools where it's cold, because it's trying to get the inflammation out, or they walk in the ocean where it's cold, just getting the inflammation out of their bodies and that kind of stuff. So all of that type of stuff is really, really beneficial. You've got your obviously traditional massage, it might be deep tissue, all that kind of stuff. People use ice baths, and like they're very, very popular now. You see them sell these portable ice baths and stuff online. I think the optimal is you try and stay in there for 3 minutes. I can't tolerate the cold very well. I'm not great at that. You can see behind me here a sauna. Now, a sauna is not great. Like if you're inflamed, what's that going to do? Heat inflames. So we always go, if you're inflamed, you want to go cool first for the first 24 hours before doing something like that. But I find the sauna is really good. It's good for my skin, and it's also good for the headspace, just to take time out. I mean, they're by myself, just some strategic thinking or that kind of stuff can be really, really good as well. There's some cryo type of, that's cryotherapy, where you can sit in chambers, and it's, I don't know exactly what the temperature is, but it's a certain temperature that you're in there for a period of time. Again, it's a little bit like, it's a change on your, like your plunge pools and your ice baths and that kind of stuff. I've never tried that kind of thing. But there's other things that, so like I've had some dry needling before, which is different from acupuncture, but it's the same, like they use the same sorts of needles. I found that has been quite effective for me, along with some cupping, whether it be on my shoulders, back, and so forth. That's where I find it. That can be quite helpful. They're probably the only things really that I find useful. I mean, you can use your foam roller, and you can use like balls and things like that for your back and that kind of thing. But as far as the innovative ways, it's probably the most innovative one is probably the cryotherapy, I would say. What are the most common misconceptions about fitness and aging, and how do you address them to encourage a lifetime of activity? Well, it's an interesting one. We tend to celebrate birthdays on a 5 or a 0, right? Now, when I get people that come to see me, they often say that, oh, well, I'm 35 now, so I can't do what I used to, or I'm 40, whatever, and they say, oh yeah, I'm getting old now. It's like, what are you talking about? Like I'm 55, turn 56 in August, and I feel like I'm still able to do the things that I want to, pain-free, and still really enjoy that. And I don't even think about my age. And so it's really interesting that people say at 35, I'm getting old and I can't do what I used to. And it's like, are you kidding me? It's a limiting belief about what it is that you can do. Now, you need to make sure that you understand your body and you listen to your body. I know my body very, very well, and I know, like, for instance, if I've eaten something, I know I need to stay away from things like cream or creamy fatty type dishes, because it just makes me feel really, really unwell, and it doesn't work well in my body. If I have a bit of a sore shoulder, for instance, this is a shoulder that I had 2 surgeries on this one. And if I get a little bit of pain in there, I know what I need to do to try and remove that pain as fast as possible. And maybe I've slept on it funny or whatever. So I think it's really just coming over like in your head and saying, well, I'm capable of doing anything. the more you understand your body and what it is that you can do. So for instance, I can't do certain things anymore. I still do deadlifts, but I don't do heavy deadlifts. Like I'm talking, like close to 200 kilo deadlifts. I don't do those anymore just for the sake of achieving a number. It's not good for my back. I don't do barbell squats over with the bar across the back of my neck. I don't do those anymore. Again, not good for my back. I injured my back lifting my daughter like when she was about 7 or 8 or something, and ever since then it's not been good, and I can't do them. And flat bench press, I can't do that anymore either because it just loads up the shoulders. Well, I can do it, but I can't go heavy, but I can at 15 degrees. So I've experimented over time to work out what I can do, what I can't do, and I think the more you are in tune with your body, the better that is. So I'm working with a 60-year-old client at the moment, and she's got bad bursitis in her, I think it's in her right shoulder. And what we do with her is, like, she's only been going for a couple of weeks, but we have to experiment with a few different exercises to see, okay, what's it like on knees, what's it like on hips, back, shoulders, etc., and then change as we go, so we can make sure that she's still progressing, still enjoying, and not in pain. So I want zero pain. I don't want any pain in my clients where they're already got some pain. So it's like, how do we navigate that? And there's a few exercises and bits of equipment I have in my gym that I can use with people to allow them to build muscle around the joint without causing pain or injuring them. So a big part of it is, it's really around your mindset and saying, well, remove that limiting belief, and just because you are a number doesn't mean you can't achieve a level of greatness perhaps that you've never achieved before. But you need to work with the right person. I've heard plenty of stories where people go and work with a trainer, and they're not really, the trainer is not really appreciating what's going on for the client. I say, okay, well, I'm going to get you to these high impact things that they give every client kind of thing, and it's only going to make the client worse. So, I work from a very tailored approach. All right, I'm going to do one more question. I've got a few here, but I'm just conscious of the time. All right, let's talk about this one. So how can someone maintain a healthy and balanced diet without breaking the bank, especially with the rising food price? So that is a good question, because certainly here in Australia, it's one of the most, in Melbourne, it's one of the most expensive places in the world to live. Housing prices, you've got energy, energy prices are going up, interest rates have gone up. I've got hearing stories of people that their cost of living is going up by $2,000-3,000 a month, which is huge. You've got to find that money somewhere if you want to keep your home. So it can be a tricky one. Now, there is a perception that living healthily is expensive. But if I use this as an example, so I make whether it's a beef stir fry or like a chicken stir fry, I can make that so that it's around, I'm going to round the numbers, but it's about $3 a serve, right? So you buy, say, 1.5 kilos of, say, chicken, or even a little bit more, but a kilo to 1.5 kilos. So a kilo of chicken for most people will give you about 8 meals. Right, so you buy your chicken, you've got some sauces in there. I just use frozen vegetables. So actually, I haven't done the sums, but let me just tell you what it is. So your chicken's about, depending on where you get it, it's about $10 to $11 a kilo here. So let's say it's $10. We'll just round the numbers, and you get a kilo of that. So that's $10. I use frozen vegetables in mine. So I generally, if you put in a kilo of meat, I tend to put in 2 kilos of vegetables. But the ones I've got, they actually come in 850 gram bags. Don't ask me why. It's not a kilo. But anyway, so I use 2 bags of those. So that's 1.7 kilos of vegetables. Now, I think they're $5.50 each. So what's that, 10? That's $11. So at $21. Now, let's just assume that you've got some sauces and stuff. In the house, most people tend to have this. So if you don't, then you're going to buy it one off, and you only need to buy it every now and then. But I put soy sauce. The last one I made was soy sauce, a little bit of sweet chili sauce, and hoisin sauce in it, and a bit of water. and that's it, right? So let's just say you've already got the sauces. So there we've got, what did I say? So $21 over, say, eight meals, and just work out that price. Right, now, if you were to go out to a restaurant and get something like that, you're probably going to look at anywhere between probably $15 to $30 for that, right? So cut your dining out, cut your takeaway, and think about how can I meal prep that. Like, that's a really healthy meal, healthier than most people would eat. And you could have that for lunch, you could have it for dinner as well. I mean, you could throw in a bit of rice in there as well. I mean, rice is not that expensive if you buy a bag of it and how far it goes, but still under $5, and you've got like a really, really healthy meal there. So I think I also encourage clients to focus on so buying your meat in a little bit more bulk, not like hundreds and hundreds of dollars of meat, but like go to like your butcher, and the supermarkets are normally a little bit more expensive. So we've got a bulk, butcher here where it's cheaper. I tend to buy the frozen vegetables. So then if you don't eat them, say through the week, they don't go off. So find a mix that you really like. I use Asian stir-fried type vegetables. Like I said, with the sauces and that kind of stuff. Buy home brand, I'd say, like if it's a breakfast cereals, for instance, like I have like rolled oats for breakfast with some protein powder and some frozen, blueberries. And the rolled oats, if I bought a branded version versus home brand, it's a couple of dollars different. So it all adds up, right? So I just approach things that way, buying home brand things where it's appropriate. Not everything is great. Focusing on cooking up the meals myself and looking for, those options where I can easily do that and store it in the freezer. Then it's your meal prep. You don't have to worry about it preparing it through the week, etc. So it just makes life a whole bunch easier. So you can do it. And normally what I would say to people is, well, review your whole budget and see what can you cut out? Like, what are those apps that you've got on your phone, for instance, you don't use? What are those subscriptions? Like, I hear people that have like 4 different like pay TV subscriptions. The thing that I've learned, certainly in Australia here, across Channel 7 and SBS and even YouTube, you have access to thousands of free movies, right? So remove them. Dig into your cupboard and pull out some old DVDs that you haven't watched for a while. So yesterday, the last 2 nights, I've had a Chuck Norris experience and watched, a movie each night of him sort of in the background. So I have trouble watching a whole movie, but just dig out an old DVD or something. Go to your library. Okay, so your library, certainly the ones here, they have quite extensive DVD libraries. Most people still have a DVD player, and it's free. I think you can take out 20 at a time. I don't know who's doing that, but go to your local library. Do something like that, rather than having a subscription service. So there's those things, and just reviewing your credit card and where your expenses are going. What are you buying at the supermarket? Like, can you cut those things out? Cut out the processed foods, like your biscuits and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure you can save hundreds and hundreds of dollars if you have to, right? And then you think about, okay, well, now I'm going to do my meal prep, so that's going to save me maybe $100 a week, depending on, maybe more, depending on what you're doing. If you think about it, if you're buying coffee, you're buying lunch, a few times a week, I mean, this all adds up, right? So in that behavior, you could be paying for your whole groceries in a week. So, it just requires some different type of thinking in some cases. But again, look, if you need some more help, I do a free consultation for people around the world. So you can just, you can go to studiospt.com.au, or you can go to thementaltoughnessandbodyshow.com. You can opt in for a free consultation there, and I'm happy to address any concerns you've got. So I'm going to leave it there. Have a great Easter, everybody, and I'll see you next week.